Brian Kelly, I think, voiced the way that a lot of LSU fans feel after last night's 20-27 loss against USC in Las Vegas. He said it's unacceptable. We can't keep talking about the same things. Again, a lot of LSU fans, I think, feel this way. So there's going to be a lot of emotion. Brian Kelly showed a lot of emotion in that post-game press conference. But what do we make of what happened last night? What do we need to unpack together that's important as it pertains to LSU and as it pertains to the rest of their season? We'll talk about that right now. Make sure you are subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel. LSU fans, still a lot of ball to be played. We're not here to sell you any hopium, but I am just telling you now, there's, I think, a lot still in front of your Tigers. Subscribe. Got a big year ahead, so lock in. We appreciate y'all for that. So going back to what I said. He embodied the way a lot of LSU fans feel when he said, we can't keep talking about the same things. It's unacceptable. Sort of hitting on this note that, like, hey, we can't keep doing the same things over and over again and not getting the results that we want to get. And Brian Kelly was speaking to his team having that killer instinct and finishing through. More on that in a second. LSU fans are saying, yeah, it's unacceptable because this is the third year in a row we lost the opener. And we feel pretty good about our roster, so why are we having these results? It's a lot like if your kid were to go out and fail their first test of the semester. You're not so much worried about their final grade. They're a smart kid. They're going to be okay. But you're more so like, why is this a pattern we keep having to endure? We're LSU. And yeah, it's a good football team in USC. Florida State has proven they were a good football team the last 2 years, but like these aren't games that you have to lose. These aren't games you have to, sort of hit the reset button and play catch up the rest of the year. You're good enough in a lot of these situations to beat the team on the other side of the field. I was texting with some friends during that game, and it's like LSU, from my perspective, controlled a lot of the game. Brian Kelly kept mentioning it during his post-game press conference. 3 drives inside the 15-yard line, and you get 6 points. That's not winning football. That's not winning football. And so I think the reason why Brian Kelly is so upset about his team's lack of killer instinct in last night's game is because not finishing is something that happens all of the time. Like, I'm not speaking to knowing exactly what's going on inside LSU's building, but from the way Brian Kelly unpacked that post-game press conference, he's saying we keep talking about the same things, meaning he is continuing to harp on the idea they have to finish. And finishing is something that takes virtually no talent. Takes nothing of yourself to run through the line. Takes nothing of yourself to finish the rep. Takes nothing of yourself to stay locked in the fourth quarter. Those are all just discipline things. Those are all just care things. You don't have to run a certain 40-yard dash or be able to throw the football a certain amount of yards. You have to be able to stay locked in, keep your foot on your opponent's neck, and finish through. Now, I think it'd be irresponsible to say that there's no positives from last night. And I'm not here to pitch you moral victories, but I think you look at the film the next day and you're like, okay, Garrett Nussmeier, he's going to be pretty good. Like, I know it was one game, but based on everything that we have known about him going into this game, based on how he played last night, he looked like a guy who was poised to have a big season. I mean, he went for over 300 yards, threw 3 touchdowns. Like, guy's going to be pretty good. Kyron Lacey waited his turn, much like Garrett Nussmeier. Had a big night last night. He looks like the next great LSU wide receiver. John Emery? A little John Emery sighting last night, huh? How about him toting the mail? It's got to feel good if you're an LSU fan. You would have liked to probably see a better number in the box score when it comes to LSU's rushing total, but still, I don't think that you look at the ability for them to run the football, and that wasn't the reason that they lost the game. I mean, maybe there were certain situations you have to run the football better, but you don't point to the run game and say, that's our problem. You got a good backfield. You got a great offensive line. The offense is going to be okay. They have to finish. Now, defensively, if you told me Friday before the game, or I guess that was Saturday before the game, excuse me. If you told me before the game, USC is going to score 27, I say, okay, well, then LSU probably covered the spread and won pretty comfortably. Like, I'm not here to dunk on the defense. The defense still has their own issues, but like Brian Kelly mentioned it, he's like, we can't ask our defense to be something they're not just yet. Like, that's a team, a side of the football that's in their first year under a new system, new staff. Like, they're trying to figure some things out on the defensive side of the football, but still to look the way they did against a Lincoln Riley coached offense, there's a lot to clean up, but I don't think that they were, the side of the football that should field all of the blame. I think this was a team loss in a lot of ways. Again, no moral victories. I can't stress it enough, but here's what is the reality. If LSU responds the way they have responded the last couple of seasons, they're going to be in contention for a playoff spot. And again, that's not me trying to tell you there's still hope. Like, that's the way it is. Like, in this new college football playoff format, whether you like it or not, losing a game like this has never mattered less. Not a conference game. If you win the SEC, which is still on the table mathematically since it's the first game and you played a non-SEC opponent, you have a first-round bye in the college football playoff. Now, to do that, you have to develop that killer instinct that Brian Kelly mentioned. So I think there's probably a gauntlet being thrown down, if I had to guess, from Brian Kelly to the rest of his team, which great teams, the leadership picks that up and says, here's the way we're going. I still think that LSU's got some great leaders in that locker room. Like Will Campbell, he's a dude I would follow into a dark alley, and I mean, he's someone I would follow into battle. He is a dude for them up front. I think they'll probably be a little bit more physical running the football in the future. I think that Garrett Nussmeier, as he continues to grow as a passer, they're going to be able to, maybe as a passer, maybe grows more in this system, and as the guy at LSU, they're going to be able to finish some drives. You'd hope the defense takes that jumping off point from last night and builds on that, but like, all is not lost. But again, the pattern is what's frustrating. It's not that LSU's not a good football team. LSU's been a good football team for the last couple of years. They've been a good football team since Brian Kelly's got there. It's the pattern. And if they don't clean that up, if they don't fix this pattern of not being able to have their 110% best football game every single Saturday, or at least darn near close to it, be the same team every Saturday, they're going to have more issues down the road. This won't be the last time they lose. So, much like the last couple of years, kind of a fork-in-the-road moment for Brian Kelly and company. But, again, it's never mattered less. Losing that first game, I'm excited to see how they respond, excited to see how the leadership picks up the gauntlet from Brian Kelly and pushes this team forward. Appreciate y'all. Again, make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JD Piquel. Let me know what you make of last night's game for LSU. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.